So listen to these engine sounds. So that is basically the FAW engine sound, and you will get to realize that most of these Chinese trucks in Agrum are the same. This is because they come with variants of the FAW engine. Basically, FAW is the leading manufacturer of diesel engines in China. So FAW was formerly known for being like a leading manufacturer of generators, and up to date, even the engine found on trucks like the Horse 371 is also found in FAW generators. That's why most Kenyans love to refer to the Chinese trucks as generators. So, but recently I came across the new FAW JH6 and I was like, do you guys still refer to this as a generator? I was like, wow, this is like a proper prime mover. This is a truck that can really compete with the European trucks. Yeah. So the JH6 can be put head to head with trucks like the Mercedes Actros MP4 and such trucks, even the Scania XT. Basically, you can compare the JH6 to that. Before I get into the JH6, I once made a video about the FAW JK6. The JK6 is like a 6-wheeler FAW truck that has really come to dominate the Kenyan market. So in the yesteryears, the main dominator of the 6-wheeler Kenyan market, that is the 11-tonner truck, was actually the Isuzu FRR. But sasa kutoka JK6 ingie kwa field, guys have come to love it. For once, it comes with bigger wheels, a better engine, even though inakuja na 180 horsepower as compared to the 190 on the FRR. It comes with a 6-cylinder German engine that has better engine braking capabilities. So it comes with ABS on a track which is not found on most tracks. And the best thing about the JK6 is that it comes with 8-speed manual transmission, with 4 low gears and 4 high gears, which is unheard of in the 6-wheeler truck territory. Na pia inasifiwa sana juu ya kiti ya dereva. It was like the first 6-wheeler truck to come with like to consider like the comfort of the driver, even though the 6-wheeler trucks are not meant for the long range transport. The JK6 comes with like an airbag seats, which is like a seat borrowed from the Kramer seat manufacturer from the US, which has really made the JK6 to be like a staple for most Kenyan drivers. Hii ndio truck sasa kila mtu ameanza kutaka. So tukirudi kwa the FAW JH6. So the FAW JH6 is like the flagship model of the FAW Prime Mover, some of the premium model of FAW Prime Movers. So buyers on a tight budget have the option of going for the FAW JH5, which is basically ni kama we can compare it to the HO 371 Prime Mover. So basically ni kama tu venye HO 371, siku hizi kuna the Hallmark. So the high-end customer will go for the Hallmarks and the budget customer will go for the whole 371. So basically hata kwa FAW, so the high-end customer akona option ya the JH6, but the budget customer akona option ya the FAW JH5, which is like a 3 horsepower model. Despite the FAW JH6 being very good looking, and especially if you get the high roof cabin option, under the hood is a very serious engine. That is a CA6D M2 11 liter inline 6 turbo diesel engine, producing a rated horsepower of around 460 horsepower and 2200 newton meters of torque. So basically hapa uko on MP4 territory on a budget, yeah. However, there are various engine variant options, that is on the variants of the same engine producing different outputs. So basically on the Kenyan market you will find variants such as the 420 horsepower, the rated torque output of around 2000 newton meters of torque, yeah. And there are even 390 horsepower options, that is on the lower end, that is on the lowest trim of the JH6. You'll find the 390 horsepower engine option that has a rated output of around 1900 newton meters of torque. So mainly on the Kenyan market you'll only find the 420 horsepower and the 460 horsepower. However, recently niliona 390 horsepower mahali, so I think they are there on the Kenyan market, yeah. Point to note though, so for the 390 horsepower and 420 horsepower variants, you'll only find like a normal cabin. So hapa hakuna double sleeper beds, yeah. But for the 60 horsepower, that is the 460 horsepower variant of the JH6, you'll find the high roof cabin option that provides an extra bed, as in ikona decker bed, yeah. And another thing about the high roof option, that is the 460 inakuja na the automatic transmission, that is an automated manual transmission with a 12-speed gearbox, yeah. That is an AMT, which is basically ni kama tu automatic. Basically pale unazungusha tu knob, hakuna kuteseka, unazungusha tu drive, neutral, reverse kama kagari kadogo, yeah. But for the 420 and the 390 horsepower, hawa wanapata the manual gearbox, that is a 12-speed manual gearbox. So why would anyone choose the JH6 over an European truck, yeah? So number one is affordability. So for the European trucks at zero mileage, they are really expensive, but for the FAW JH6, utaipata na around 8.6 million Kenya shillings. So basically most of the European trucks, such as the Mercedes, the common Mercedes MP4s that are popular in Kenya, zinakujanga Kenya kama ex-UK, ex-Germany, hizo. So basically zina retail for around 6.5 hook or 7M, yeah? And they basically come with a lot of kilometers on them, like over 600 kilometers on the dash. Na hapa una spend 8 point something na unapata zero mileage truck that has a guarantee of around 1 million kilometers, yeah, on that engine. So basically hapa return on investment, I would say for the JH6, ROI hapo ni kama bado iko sawa, because it favors you in terms of maintenance. Utapata gari itaanza kusumbua haraka, so of course hapo una enjoy the warranty, and also you'll be able to repair that truck quick enough, yeah. So number two on why someone would go with the JH6 over an European truck is ruggedness, yeah. So basically it comes with the 6x4 configuration, that is a drivetrain configuration as standard, as compared to most European trucks zenye kama kina MP4 zitakuja na the mid-lift axle. So basically the 6x4 configuration is more suited for African roads, na ukijipata off-road hautateseka, basically juu kona the 6x4 configuration, yeah. And also for the cabin space, yeah. So if you get the high roof option, you will have a truck that can match the comfort of the European trucks. In terms of space, uko na bed mbili, so kama uko na turn boy hapo bado atapata base ya kutulia. You have AC, you have like the air suspended seats, that is seats on air suspension. So basically it's just like an affordable European truck. So in terms of power output, so basically bado uko on the same range as most popular European brands. So for instance, for the 3340, that is the Mercedes 3340 inakuanga na capacity ya 33 tons na 400 horsepower, yeah. So basically kwa na JH6, FAW JH6 420 uko above for the 400 horsepower, na pia kwa torque mna match. Ikikuja kwa the MP4 inachezea 450 horsepower. So basically hapo kuna the option ya the 460 horsepower. And there are other variants ni venye bado zijafika Kenya. For instance, in South Africa niliona wako na JH6 yenye iko na output ya over 600 horsepower, and even zingine zinagonga hadi 700 horsepower. Ni venye hizo bado, of course, you don't even really need such kinds of power figures on the Kenyan market. For instance, on the southern countries, hizo SADC countries, huko wako na option ya kuto more than one trailer, which is not allowed in Kenya. So huko wako na Superlink. So basically kama uko na truck iko na 600 horsepower, that is very much practical ikikuja kwa SADC countries. But huko Kenya, our horsepower ranges, as long as a truck has between 350 horsepower and 500 horsepower, that is basically enough to handle like our driving condition and needs on the Kenyan market. So let's start a conversation hapo kwa comment section. Would you choose the JH6 over an European truck ama the Hallmarks? Those three options, yeah. Wacha hata tuseme ondoa Hallmarks, the Hallmarks bado ni mchinku. So let's assume you have the option of getting the MP4 and the JH6. Which truck would you go for? So hapo chini. So thanks for watching.